Weird warriors have tried every ploy, be it big, small, feathered or furry, to beat the enemy. But things are about to get even weirder. Exploding pancakes and bionic kitties are just a couple of the weird inventions used to beat the opposition. The following true stories involve a Hitler sex change and exploding pancakes. Viewer discretion is advised. In the 20th century, the most vital fields of conflict disappeared from sight and hid in the shadows. This is the story of war fought with hidden microphones, noxious chemicals, exploding food, and dastardly gadgets. (1942). Mainland Europe is in the grips of a man who looks suspiciously like Charlie Chaplin's evil twin. Allied forces are scrambling to come up with a plan to defeat him. Across the Atlantic in Washington, the U.S. Office of Strategic Services, known as the OSS, have been studying Hitler, looking for a way to take him down. Based on his behavior, they believe he exhibits what they consider to be female tendencies, like poor emotional control and violent, passionate outbursts. They plan to use this to their advantage.
That's nothing more than crazy. It suggests more, I think, about the psychology of the American agents who came up with it and sort of an obsession with masculinity than it does an actual effective weapon of war.
That wasn't going to stop the male chauvinists in the OSS. Their plan was simple, but more than a little weird. Based on their findings, they thought it would be easy to turn Hitler into a girl.
They were going to expose him to a cocktail of estrogen and other things in the hopes that he would lose that iconic mustache.
Back then, in the mind of the OSS, female hormones equaled a squeaky voice and no facial hair. A direct attack on the most evil mustache in history. The plan had one fatal flaw. Giving a man estrogen will not make his facial hair fall out or his voice go squeaky. But they went ahead with it anyway. They paid Hitler's gardener to spray his food with estrogen. But they never got to find out that the plan was flawed, because the gardener simply ditched the estrogen and pocketed the cash. After all, it's not like the OSS could turn up on his doorstep and demand their money back, could they? The Office of Strategic Services may have cut its teeth fighting Nazis, but it was in the Far East that it came up with its most explosive idea. November 1942. OSS secret agents in Japanese-occupied China are working with the natives to sabotage Japanese supply lines. But that means high explosives, and they are hard to hide.
You're a spy or you're undercover, you're a saboteur. You have to have explosives. You can't just go with a big rucksack with sort of bomb written on it.
The OSS has a simple plan. Disguise the explosives as something completely innocent. They mix 80% high explosive with 20% Pillsbury Best flour.
It looks exactly like flour. That's very, very clever.
The OSS named it after America's most famous pancake mix, Aunt Jemima. and they're certain it will get past the guards at any checkpoint.
I think it's ingenious. I'd see a bag of flour. I wouldn't, think that was explosive material.
But what if the guards decide to confiscate a bag of exploding flour and make a pancake out of it? Our weird warfare explosives expert is about to cook a pancake using the original OSS formula. Take 3 cups of military-grade Aunt Jemima, a little baking powder, milk, 1 egg, and melted lard. Now start grilling and stand well back. The secret lay in the high explosive they used, called HMX. HMX not only looks like flour, it's also highly resistant to heat. During testing, the OSS let one of their special pancakes burn to a crisp, but it never exploded. Not only could you cook the pancakes,
You could eat them safely. Might taste a little strange, but you wouldn't get poisoned.
and even after whisking and baking, it could still fulfill its real purpose. Our explosives expert is going to demonstrate using the pancake he just made. Even though he's cooked it to a crisp, he can still attach the pancake to a makeshift telegraph pole, using more of the dough and some tape. Insert 2 military-issue blasting caps into a lump of plasticine, and presto! Genius.
It was smuggled into China, and Chinese guerrillas used it against a bridge across the Yangtze River, and it worked.
Aunt Jemima was beautifully simple, but the same can't be said for the next harebrained idea thought up by the successors to the OSS, the CIA. It is the 1950s. The Cold War between the US and Russia is at its height. CIA observers noticed that diplomats from the Soviet embassy would go outside for private conversations. If they could eavesdrop on these meetings, they might gather important information.
A bunch of geniuses at the CIA figured maybe we can wire up a cat to do our surveillance for us.
Two enemy agents sitting there talking, and here walks up a cat. They don't think anything of it. I don't doubt they tried to do that at all.
In 1961, the CIA launched Operation Acoustic Kitty, the most ludicrously complicated method of getting a microphone near a park bench ever thought up by man. CIA vets implanted a microphone into the ear canal of a cat. They put a transmitter into the cat's neck, where there's a natural loose pocket of skin. Then they ran a wire along the cat's spine to the tail to make an antenna, powered by the smallest battery they could find. The finished article? A bionic, acoustically equipped Super Kitty. But no matter what you call it, a cat is still a cat. This was clearly a plan thought up by a dog owner. Dogs you can train. Cats, not so much.
I've trained dogs before, but cats, they do whatever the hell they want. So I've never trained a cat. I imagine that'd be pretty difficult.
But inconvenient biological facts were not going to deter the CIA. Acoustic Kitty was sent on its first field mission near the Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. Nearby was a high-tech surveillance van filled with state-of-the-art audio receivers. Everything was set to record real high-grade intelligence as the cat approached the bench. When suddenly, Operation Acoustic Kitty died under the wheels of a Washington cab.